Right, I think that we are live. Are we? Are we live? Yes, it looks like we're live. Good. Hello everybody. I hope you're all excellent and in fine fettle wherever you happen to find yourself on planet Earth this evening. I know that my unfortunate wife, unfortunate in that she's in Johannesburg, not unfortunate in so much as she married me. Well, I hope not yet. Anyway, it has been 6 months. More. 7 months now. We're doing pretty well. Anyway, she's in Johannesburg. I hope you're all well and where you want to be. And tonight's little concert is now underway, as it were, and it is being delivered to you from the bush. I am here at Djuma Private Game Reserve on the western fringes of the Great Kruger National Park, in case you didn't know. And so, well, there are a few technical challenges to doing it out here. Mainly they're associated with my memory and my inability to remember all of the thousands of bits and pieces that go into making this thing. The first one was, of course, the microphone stand. And so what we've had to do is cobble one together out of a lighting stand and something that used to be a camera monopod, some cable ties, some gaffer tape, and, well, that's about it. So that's the microphone stand. We also have, also out of sight, thankfully, a box on which my little iPad thing is sitting. It's not an iPad, it's a tablet for my words, because my brain is too small to remember all my lyrics. Technically, I think we're okay, and I'm hoping everyone can hear. I'm assuming that my wife will shout at me if the sound is not good. I'm already seeing complaints that there's too much echo. Linda, I'm sorry about that. I don't think there's any echo. Here we go. Echo, very bad, and apparently it's all very soft. Right. Let's try and fix that. How's that? Maybe that's a bit better. I hope it is. Is there still an echo? Before I start singing, we want to try and fix the problem. I will be singing louder than I'm talking. So I'll wait for my wife to tell me. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. No, I think it's pretty loud. I'll turn it up a bit. And a little bit more. That should be fine. I just don't want it to peak. Okay, how's that? Can you try and sort out the audio? Yes. It's still soft. Okay. Right. What happens if I do this? Is that still soft? Is that still soft? Is the guitar still soft? I'm sorry about these technical details that we need to sort out. It sounds all right in my ear. She says she's on full blast and it's still very soft. Just tell me, Kirsten, if the guitar sound was still very soft. Seems like it's getting better. I just need a yes or no. Is the guitar okay? Did the guitar sound all right? Much better. Good. Okay. So I think it's just a question of the talking versus the singing, one which will be louder than the other. Right, here we go. The first little song this evening is called Gukhala Inhliziyo, which means my heart is crying. And I'm not actually sure when I wrote this or where it came from. It's just kind of a saddish song, really, about the inhumanity of man to man and woman and child. And it's a Zulu song, and it goes like this. It goes, Gukhala inhliziyo, inhliziyo yami, my heart is crying. Ihamba olwandle oluluhlaza, it goes to the blue ocean. Amehlo ami agcwele namakhalo, my eyes are full of tears. Sofika nini emathandweni, when will we arrive with our loved ones? Bakhala bantwana bomhlaba, the children of the earth are crying. Bakhalela zimpilo zabantu, they cry for the lives of the people. Bafuna ugazi zindaba zini, they want to know why. Siyalwa sonke, why we fight. Sonke skati, why we fight all the time. It's a bit miserable, isn't it? Anyway, I quite like it. And now I shall sing it to you. Here we go. Gukhala nhliziyo, nhliziyo yam, ohambo lwale oluluhlaza bo, amehlo ami agcwele namakhalo, zofika nini emathandweni. Bakhala bantwana bomhlaba, bakhalela zimpilo zabantu, bafuna ukazi sindaba zini, siyalwa sonke isikhathi. So that's just a short song to start with this evening. Cheers. I have no wine with me this evening, so I'm making do with some lemon and soda water. I hope that the sound for that one was okay. My wife will no doubt tell me. While I load up the next song, I wonder if there are any questions. I'll see if there are. Right, thank you. You're all giving some nice claps and things. It's difficult for me to see the screen and then talk to you at the same time, but don't worry about it. If there are important questions, my wife will no doubt send them through to me. Anyway, so that was a sad Zulu song. Then, what's going to happen now is that, well, if I do these concerts again after tonight, my wife has decided that she will be choosing one of the songs. She is, of course, sitting at home in Johannesburg, as I said. She is definitely drinking wine. And she chose this week's song to be Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard by Paul Simon. Now, I first heard the song, as I did many of Paul Simon's great songs, at a concert at Ellis Park, given in 1993. It was, when I went with my mother and my mother's friend, and because nobody else would go with, I had organised to go with some guys from school, but they didn't want to come because there were a whole lot of threats to the concert, and so off we went, and we had the most wonderful time. And this is where I first heard Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard. Anushka, you want to know how long it took me to learn that song? The last one, not very long at all, actually. I used to sing it by memory, but I haven't sung it for years and years. And I redid it, actually, for the wedding of a friend of mine, and I sang his wife down the aisle with it, but with different words. They were much happier words. That one was a bit sad, to sing a bride down the aisle, I feel. Thank you for that, Anushka. Then, I suppose we should start with this particular song, which is Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say about this, and I think I have related this story before, but there was a threat of violence to this concert because it was the first big international concert that had happened in South Africa at the dawn of democracy. And Paul Simon had never played Graceland in South Africa. And he had obviously employed and used, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but given a platform to many South African artists. And at this concert, Miriam Makeba came back from exile and sang, which was just magnificent. The Ladysmith Black Mambazo was there. It was fantastic. But there were a couple of fringe political parties who said that they couldn't guarantee there wouldn't be any violence. There wasn't any violence. It was a wonderful concert, and set me on my love for Paul Simon's music. Good. All right, here we go. Me and Julio down by the schoolyard. I was just going to do it with guitar until yesterday evening, and I decided that it needed a little bit of drumming, I thought. So here we go, as I've said 4 times. Please work, please work. Mama Pajama rolled out of bed and she ran to the police station. When my papa found out, he began to shout and start the investigation. Well, it's against the law. It was against the law. What my mama saw, it was against the law. My mama looked down and spit on the ground every time my name gets mentioned. My papa said, oh, if I get that boy, I'm gonna stick him in a house of detention. Well, I'm on my way now. I don't know where I'm going. I'm on my way now. I'm taking my time, but I don't know where. So goodbye, Rosie, and the Queen of Corona. See me and Julio down by the schoolyard. Me and Julio down by the schoolyard. Oh, in a couple of days, gonna take me away, and the press let the story leak. When the radical breeze come to get me released, it was all on the cover of Newsweek. And I'm on my way. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm on my way. I'm taking my time, but I don't know where. So goodbye, Rosie, the Queen of Corona. I see me and Julio down by the schoolyard. Down by the schoolyard. Me and Julio down by the schoolyard. I can't believe I finished on the right drum beat. Yes! Fantastic. So there is me and Julio down by the schoolyard. I don't know who Julio was. I don't know why he was at the schoolyard. I don't know anything about the song other than that I sang. Or who Mama Pajama was. Delicious. Right, thank you very much. There's a lot of wooing and clapping, which is very kind. Me and Julio down by the schoolyard. My wife will send through any relevant questions if there happen to be any. Thank you for your kind clappings. Anyway, I'm sure my mother would have enjoyed that as well, Kirsten, if she's watching, and she better be. She knows there'll be consequences if she doesn't. Quite appropriately also, in the middle of that song, of course, is the line, goodbye to Rosie, the Queen of Corona. Prescient, maybe. I don't know who Rosie was, but I do know what Corona is at the moment. I don't think it was meant in the sense that we're taking it right now, but appropriate for these troubled times. Good. Now, moving on to the next song. Oh no, hang on, we have a question. Sugarbits. I wonder if the animals are listening too. Sugarbits, they don't have a choice. The window's open, and so any in close proximity will definitely be listening to what I have just sung, and what I'm going to sing indeed. Muji50 says that Mama Pajama is Jamie. Yes, for those of you who don't know, Jamie, who used to work with us here in the bush at Safari Live, Pajamas became her nickname, so I suppose she could be known as Mama Pajama. I imagine somebody slightly bigger than Jamie being Mama Pajama, but yes. Auntie Christine Valentino, how many beanies do I own? One. That's why you see this one every week. This one is about 6 years old. Oh, is it looking a bit grubby? I think it probably is. And then Della James says, got a song for poor old Kevin the kudu. We found a dead kudu today. Well, no, we didn't find a dead kudu. Well, he was dead, but there wasn't much of him left. There was just his horns, his skull, and a bit of his spinal column. And we did a tribute to him. He was a magnificent animal at one stage, and now he has gone back to the soil. No, I haven't got a song for Kevin the kudu just yet. Maddie, do I play any Rodriguez? No, I don't play any Sixto Rodriguez. I don't know how many of you know about Rodriguez, especially as most of you come from the States, or many of you come from the States. Rodriguez is the soundtrack, basically, to, I suppose, people 5 years older than me, 5 to 10 years older than me, and then maybe 5 years younger than me. And I think he's from Detroit, and he's a magnificent folk singer. And there's a lovely, lovely documentary called Finding Sugar Man out about this fellow. And he lives as a construction worker, I think to this day, if he hasn't retired. And he was unheard of anywhere other than in South Africa, where he was the soundtrack to people's lives of that generation that I mentioned. And people absolutely loved his music, and some South African went and found him in the States and brought him out here, where he couldn't believe his popularity. He was working on a construction site, and he pitched up in Cape Town and went on stage, had no idea what all the fuss was about, and there were 20,000 people there standing, roaring his name, and he had absolutely no idea about it. So if you haven't seen Finding Sugar Man, go and watch it. It's a tremendous story, a very sad one too, because he was ripped off by a number of music labels and producers, and as a result, I think lives pretty much in penury somewhere in Detroit, if I'm not mistaken. Good one, thank you. All right, now, this next one, I'm not going to lie to you, is tricky. Oh, we're curious about what? Oh, I don't know what's going on with the next question. Anyway, this next one is tricky. It is a Dave Matthews song, and we're going to do it with a loop pedal and hope that works out fine. It's pretty complicated, and I love it. I mean, I think it's beautiful. And the first half is pretty self-explanatory. It's about people getting into a rut, and the ants that are marching, being human beings to and from work, etc., etc., with no time to sit and stop and talk to each other and consider life. The next bit, however, I suspect was written perhaps after either too little sleep or too much in the way of hallucinogenic stimulants. I don't understand it. Anyway, what we're going to do is use the loop pedal and see how Ants Marching by David Matthews goes. Here we go. never say a thing. And these crimes between us grow deeper. Goes to visit his mommy, feeds him well, as he forgets them and remembers being small, laying under the table and dreaming. Take these chances, leave them in a box until a quieter time lights down you up and die. In on the highway, all these cars, they end up on the sidewalk, people in every direction. No words exchanged, no time to exchange, and all the little lines are marching, red and black antennas waving. They all do it the same. They all do it the same way. Candyman, tempting thoughts of a sweet tooth, tortured by weight loss, program cutting corners. There's a loose end, cut on the fence, so not to offend. Cut. Take these chances, leave them in a box until a quieter time lights down you up and die. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right. That was Ants Marching by Dave Matthews. I apologise for the warbled note in the front. I overestimated my range this evening. I'll put it down to dust, shall I? Ooh. Good. Right. Any questions after that? Tricky-ish song by David Matthews. We'll wait for them to come through. Dave Matthews, as we've discussed before, difficult to play because he doesn't sing at the same rhythm that he plays, which is remarkable because just about all of his songs are like that, which I think is just so incredible because normally when you write songs, you play and you sing at the same time. And I imagine it must be pretty difficult for him to write like that, but such is the discipline that he brings to the process that it's always like that. Hello, R. Beard. You say, can James tell us more about Paul Simon Miriam Makeba concert? Where was he sitting? What was the crowd like? Wish I'd known before he was there. Never met anyone who was. R. Beard, I can. It was full. Ellis Park is our biggest rugby stadium. Is it our biggest rugby stadium? I'm not sure if it still is. It's a 60,000 seater stadium, and all the seats, I think most of the seats were filled, and the ground was certainly, the field was full. We were sitting, say, halfway down the tiers, watching from there. So, I mean, Paul Simon was about that big. He's not much bigger than that in real life. I mean, I think he's even smaller than I am. But his band and he filled that place. I mean, there's not much more I can tell you other than it's a wonderful memory that I have. It's a relatively clear memory. It must have been around about this time of the year as well. It was spring, and we went with a friend of my mother's, had a husband in the police, and we weren't going to go. And then this chap said, I've spoken to everybody in the know, and they all say it's going to be fine, so go. And we went, and we had a wonderful time. And I had some friends who were down on the field. I was supposed to be standing on the field. They weren't going to go. Their parents didn't want them to go. And eventually they went as well, and they stood down on the field, and I sat up with mes mom in the stands. And I'm glad about that, because it's a real special memory that my mother and I share. Although when you're 17 years old, going to a concert with your mother is perhaps not the coolest thing in the world, but it's one of my coolest memories. Thanks, Mum. Hello, Sunshine. James, do you ever hit the wrong strings when you're flying up your guitar that fast? Yes, all the time. A huge amount of the time. Hello, Sunshine. I heard a wonderful story once. It was about a concert pianist, so somebody whose musical skills are about 25 leagues greater than mine. Concert pianist, and he said that he could do, after a tour, he could redo another tour with all of the notes that he left under the piano. So even those concert pianists are making mistakes, but you just don't hear them because they're so good at covering them up. Alrighty, shall we do the next one? Now the next one I've never performed to anyone. I've actually pretty much completed writing it this week. And it's because I wasn't actually going to do it, but then I decided I can't possibly have one of these concerts and not do two of my own. And I suppose with this being episode number 8, it's going to give me some time to either write some new material or redo the old stuff. But this is the last song of mine that I really like, but I haven't performed it before. So what is going to happen now is a world premiere. A world premiere. The song is called The Leaving, and I wrote it when I was at Victoria Falls Hotel, and it was at a very strange time in Zimbabwean history. Well, Zimbabwean history is strange for thousands of reasons, but it was in 2008, I think. Yeah, 2007 or 2008. Yeah, 8 or 9, 2008 or 2009, doesn't really matter. And no one was going to Zimbabwe at all. I was on leave from Londolozi, and I opened the newspaper one day, and there was a special for me to go to, or a special for the Victoria Falls Hotel, which is normally an incredibly expensive place to stay, and certainly it is now again, but there was this amazing special, and I'd never been to Victoria Falls. I was at a loose end, and so I just went. I booked it and went 2 days later. And it was bizarre because I got there and the place was nigh on empty, and it's a beautiful old hotel with these two massive trees. I think they called them sasa trees growing out. One of them is growing out of the front lawn. You can see down the river to the big bridge that people bungee off. You can see the mist of the falls. You can't actually see the falls. And it's a grand old lady, they call it, because it's a really old hotel. Stanley and Livingstone's time is when it was built. And it feels like that. But what was so interesting, and what I suppose made the song as sad as it is that it felt like it was falling to pieces because there were no tourists in Zimbabwe. And on the streets, people would try and sell you a $1 trillion Zimbabwe dollar note. for 10 US dollars. You couldn't use Zimbabwean dollars because the inflation had run so rampant. And all the waiters and butlers were wonderfully friendly, lovely people, but you could see that their uniforms were starting to fall apart. And they were holding this place together, this grand old lady together, with whatever means they had. And I had the best time there, totally on my own. There were maybe 5 other guests in this massive hotel, and I explored the falls and I went down the rapids. If you've never been whitewater rafting in the Zambezi and you don't have a heart condition, it's highly recommended. It's the best fun I've ever had. Anyway, I would play the piano at night in the huge lobby, echoing, and the odd waiter would come out and sort of look and then go back to whatever he was doing. The other few guests would totter past and I'd be sitting there with this... I ordered a giant cocktail at every available opportunity, and I'd be sitting there in this slightly crumbling but beautiful old room playing a very out-of-tune grand piano with the thundering of the falls in the background, and I don't know, eventually this thing came out. And it's a song called The Leaving. Anyway, there it is. I now need another backing track. Unfortunately, there's something wrong with the right-hand channel on my earphones, but we'll deal with it. Okay, here we go. The Leaving. On this cloud of subtlety, there's a sacred sky and it's calling out to me. Don't ask me questions, I have nothing left to say. Don't ask me questions, I have nothing left to say. I'm a traveler in a misty place, where time stands like a dormant tree. I walked up through the dusty surface of the night. The holes between the stars, they form the shape of you. The holes between the stars, they form the shape of you. Swimming in the green water, it soothes and heals my weary head, takes away the shame and loneliness, takes away the dreams that burn me, takes away the dreams that hunt me. Sitting in a gentle midday breeze, shaded by a waiting tree, hum a song, an old sweet memory. It's quiet as a whisper in the newly greening leaves. It's quiet as a whisper in the newly greening leaves. A tiny gem It's the closing of a chapter in the fabric, the timeless turning, running, chasing of the wind. The timeless turning, running, chasing of the wind. Swimming in the green water, soothing heals my weary head, takes away the shame and loneliness, takes away the dreams that burn me, takes away the dreams that haunt me. There it is, The Leaving. Thank you so much. Now, while I wait for a few questions, I have to now change things up a bit for the next one, because we're going to do something slightly different. So I'm going to go completely silent for about 20 seconds. Here we go. Right. Probably a little longer than 20 seconds, but I'm back. Good. All right, a few questions. Here we go. Righty. James, who's your favourite composer? What's your favourite transcription for classical guitar? My favourite composer? Zoe Dawn. I think it's going to be something extremely unoriginal like Beethoven. I think Beethoven is my favourite composer. And I'm really, if I feel miserable or down, his piano concertos I really like. I like a lot of Mozart as well, also very unoriginal. Vivaldi, also very unoriginal. And then you say, what's your favourite transcription for classical guitar? Well, that's relatively easy. I really love, also not original at all, Albiniz's Spanish Suite, and those, because they were written for piano, and I think that they translate so beautifully onto the guitar. I've never heard them played on the piano, and I listen to them often played on the guitar, and I'm just trying to think of anything that might be slightly more original than that. I don't think I can, actually. Those are the, pretty common choices, but they're common choices because I think they're great. Yes? Good. I hope you agree. Not sure we can speak again if you don't, Right. Jenna, what's been your favourite song to write? Jenna, I don't know, writing's painful, hey? It's very satisfying playing the songs. It's very satisfying practicing them, but writing them, like writing books, is a labour of Yeah, it's pretty painful. The artistic process is painful. I thought it was just me that felt like this because I'd never read anything about it. And I spent some time with a painter called Emily Lamb, and I was writing at the time that she was painting, and we were in the bush, and she was in a state at the end of it because the painting process was so painful, and I was very grateful that the writing process wasn't nearly so painful for me. But I could understand that the creative process it's a release, but it's a little bit like training for a sports event, which you know you're going to love and which you'll never forgive yourself if you don't do your best for. But getting there can be tough. And yeah, so which one has been my favorite to write? I guess the ones that are my favorite to write are the ones that come easiest. So this one that goes, Catch the Falling Light. That came to me pretty easily, unusually. So I guess that was one that I really liked to write, but it's not necessarily the most satisfying one. I think I said before, one of the most satisfying ones I ever did was Catch the Falling Light, Crying in the Sun. I really think that came out beautifully for me. My ear. Doesn't mean you have to like it. How long does it take to add orchestration to a song? DV, I could have spent another 2 weeks on this very easily. It took me, I started on Monday and couldn't do anything on Tuesday. Wednesday I was in the car, so I did a little bit at night. And then Wednesday I couldn't do anything. Thursday I spent a bit of time on it in the evening. Yesterday I spent from the time I got back from morning drive until 8 o'clock at night on it. And yeah, so that's how long it took. But there's lots I could do with it. It's a nice question, actually. I love doing that. I really enjoy doing that stuff. It's great fun. Once the actual structure of the song's there, it's huge fun. Robin P, yes, I do play Spanish guitar sometimes. I'm planning on doing some, if we do these concerts again, I'll definitely play some classical stuff. I love doing it, yeah. That's how I was trained. May Blossom, hello Judy H. I think that's you, isn't it? What's your favourite song to play on your favourite guitar, wearing your favourite shirt with as many rosettes as your favourite leopard? Favourite song to play on your favourite guitar? I don't even know how to answer that because they're all different and they don't tie in. Thank you for that. Judy, who would you like to write with? Oh, Judy, that's a really interesting one. Judy, who would I like to write with? Would I like to write alone? I've often thought about how on earth people write song or write TV scripts and things in a team, because I know that things like Modern Family, which have 24 episodes a season and that sort of stuff, it's not just one person. There's obviously a head writer, but there are a whole lot of them. And I've always wondered how on earth that was possible, and I've always assumed that I just couldn't do it. So I've never written in a team, I've always written on my own. But I am used to, when I was even more arrogant than I am now, I used to think that the work that I produced was, it was sullied by other people's additions to it. Now I see it completely differently. And I really enjoy other people's input. I do have an ego around the creative process though, so if I'm involved in writing something, I like to be in charge of it. But I get huge amounts, like for example, the latest example of this was the voiceovers that we were doing for our little show. Kirsten and I were doing for Me, My Wife and the Wildlife, and she doesn't actually know this, but I would write them and, well, she does know this bit, but she doesn't know how helpful it was. I would write them, sometimes they were fine and they were okay, I was happy with them, and sometimes felt like something was missing. And I know that in the past I would have just left them like they were, and I took them to her, and almost always she had a great suggestion, and sometimes I'd reject the suggestion, but I'd retweak it, and the process of discussing it got me to the end. So, yeah, this is a long, complicated answer with not much of a conclusion to it. Okay, right, here we go. We are going to do the next song now. This song, you will all know. It is called In the Jungle. Now, In the Jungle, and to my internal discredit, will somebody please look this up? I have forgotten the name of the person who wrote it. For many years, this song was performed without royalty and used commercially without royalty. And you can't do that on YouTube, by the way. You can't use other people's songs without royalty. It picks it up, and any ad revenue that goes towards the song will go back towards whoever owns the royalty to it. Anyway, I believe that what happened was the family of the people involved, of the guy who wrote it, eventually had thought this is enough, and went after the people who were using it and managed to, I think, claim the royalties or claim some royalties for the song In the Jungle. As it was called Awimaweh. It still is called Awimaweh. And what we're going to do this evening is that we are going to, let me just check if everything's okay down here. Looks to be. Instead of looping the guitar, I'm going to loop my voice. And so we're going to do 4 parts of Awimawehs, and then we'll sing it. And I would urge you at home, wherever you happen to be in the world, to do the high chorus bits as loudly as you can, so that your neighbours complain. Okay, here we go. Awimaweh, 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 Awimaweh. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Near the village, the peaceful village, the lion sleeps tonight. Near the village, the peaceful village, the lion sleeps tonight. Hush, my darling, don't fear, my darling, the lion sleeps tonight. Hush, my darling, don't fear, my darling, the lion sleeps tonight. Ihlathi likhulu ibubesi lilale busuku Ehlathini ihlathi likhulu ibubesi lilale busuku Mama we Mama we That was quite fun. I enjoyed that very much. And now, as I wait furthermore for any further comments or questions, I need to go silent once more. Bye. And we should be back. We are back. There we are. Okay. So that was a Wimoweh. Oops. Righty. Best song of the night, says my wife. Thank you, my dear. That's very kind. Solomon Linda wrote that song. Originally written in Zulu. Gee whiz. I need to get those because I made those Zulu words up. And in fact, I made them up when, they might actually be the real words, I don't know. But I made them up in my final year at school. And it was the same year that The Lion King came out, that biological travesty. And for the house music competition, I decided that we should do that song, Awimowe. And we had an enormously fun time. Well, I did. I don't know if the choir that I taught had an enormously fun time. But the best part of it was that the matric year, and in your final year at school, I mean, hardly anybody takes part in anything because they're so concentrating on athletics or on their exams and maybe their sport. And those who are not musicians don't really think about it. But I managed to get most of the matric class, which was my final year at school's class, to emerge from the back of the choir stands doing this ridiculous dance. It was led by the head of house. It was wonderfully hilarious. And then the only other chap in my house who was doing Zulu joined me at the front to sing the Zulu bit at the end. And that's a lastingly great memory for me. Thank you, my dear. Best song of the night. Yes. I don't think I've missed any, have I? No, I think we're good. Yes. Good. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Comments from my cousin Alison, who said that she preferred episode 6. Thanks, Al. Ideally, you should hold those comments back for the end of the episode. But I appreciate your feedback. Thank you. Okay, good. You want an honest opinion, that's where you'll get it. Sorry, excuse the crackling. Okay, right. My encore this evening, the final song, is going to be my song, The Fall. And that's because my wife loves this song. And I love my wife. Here we go. Said the tired soul of a king who's passed to the keeper of the tale that lasts. I don't believe that you're listening. Said the keeper to the weary soul, to the signs in the sky you must hold. The secrets of the builder now leaking. Where should I be running to find the breaking dawn light? Said the keeper to the soul, you must find the code where Genesis speaks in verses old. Time's fingers left her markings in the field, and all along the desert sands old Hiram stretched his old hand, and in the wind the mystery and sanity of alchemy a talisman must be. Then I fell on my back, the fire's wind cleared the Javan overspell. I hid my face until the air grew still, the sky ran clear, the sun broke through and carried me away. Yes, it carried me away. Said the keeper to the soul, can you see my mind? The quantum leaps speak for all time, but I'm not sure you're really listening. Said the soul to the keeper, you can see I'm tired, so why must you talk in your riddles and rhymes? My view is slowly darkening. Where should I be running? This plague is slowly strangling. In the quiet of a valley, an old black king watched his warriors dance and sing, and he can see his old ways are fleeing. And all along the desert sands old Hiram stretched his old hand, and in the wind the mystery and sanity of alchemy a talisman must be. Then I fell on my back, the fire's wind cleared the Javan overspell. I hid my face until the air grew still, the sky ran clear, the sun broke through and carried me away. Yes, it carried me away. Yes, it carried me away. Then I fell on my back, the fire's wind cleared the Javan overspell. I rubbed my face until the air grew still, the sky ran clear, the sun broke through and carried me away. There we are. Thank you very much. If there are any further questions, I shall quickly answer them, and then I shall probably go and have some supper. Do I wake up at night with an idea for a song and start writing? No, Arlene, I've often wanted to do that, and when I've read about it and heard stories of people who wake up going, oh, that's a great song, and they write it down quickly, I've always wanted to be that person, but never have been. Gareth James, to get that pitch, do you have an adjuster on your underpants? Yes, Gareth, I do. It's operated by the loop pedal. There's a special red button that you push, and it gives a big squeeze when you have to get up to the top notes. It wasn't working so well this evening. Tammy, have I ever sung James Taylor or Neil Young? Not really. Not because I don't like them. There are just so many other songs that I like to sing. I hope that's all right. Okay. All right, everyone. That's going to be it. There was something else I wanted to say about that song. Oh, yeah. The thing that reminds me about the song, or that I remember best about the song, was once we did a night walk at Londolozi. They don't do them anymore. It was a full moon night. It was perfectly safe. They sent a vehicle up ahead, and I was the second rifle on the walk. So I walked at the back. Another chap walked in front, and he did this amazing poem before we started off, and he has no trouble remembering words or anything like that. And he delivered this magnificent poem to the guests, who were just eating out of the palm of his hands by the time we started this walk. And then we made it to the banks of the river, where there'd been like a very fancy hot chocolate sort of stop set up. And there, under the stars, on the banks of the Sand River, I played that song. And I don't think I've ever felt quite so connected to the wild as I did after that walk and playing that song there. So that's all I have to say tonight. Okay, thanks everybody. We will see you. I'll probably awkwardly see you as I try and shut this thing down, but officially I'll keep you posted on social media as to when this is going to happen again. Practice allowing, and time and presence of internet connection. Good, excellent. Okay, bye-bye.